find the beat shop, working in the vibe store, old school original.
I can't believe I'm making this video, and listen guys, I know Keemstar is not worth my time. I know that, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed and needs to be talked about. Someone has to do this, and it might as well be us. We've been fighting for what's right since day one, and it's going to take a hell of a lot more than $60,000 for us to change our opinion. While we could sit here and attack Keemstar's character and point out all the times he's contradicted himself, that would be way too easy, and we would be here for a month. Because let's be honest, every time Keemstar speaks, he goes back on something he said or contradicts himself on something he said in the past. So instead, we're going to point out the huge facts that he hasn't talked about that he should have talked about if he was in fact an unbiased news source. So to help me do that, I have a good friend of mine, Unbiased Keemstar.
Thanks for having me, Jack. And let's get right into the truth! And I'm here because, like most of the internet, I have a brain and I'm on Turner's side.
Now, just some background on my end. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Jack Tenney. I've been making YouTube videos for 12 years, and I've been involved in all ends of social media for the last 12 years. Look, Keem, I'm speaking to you directly right now. Directly because I know you're watching this, and because I used to call you my friend. So I'm speaking from experience. I considered you a friend, and the fact that you're willing to ignore the biggest details about this situation just proves that none of your friends are safe. As long as you have a side that benefits you more than the other, you'll never truly be unbiased. So listen man, say what you want about me and about my friends and about my brother, but we've been fighting for what's right since day one. From saving the oceans from corporate greed, to spending thousands of dollars of our own money to help hurricane victims. We have a history of doing our part to better the world. We even asked you to cover some of these important topics, but of course saving the ocean doesn't get views, so fuck the ocean, right Keemstar? This is all in contrast to the way that you've built yourself a platform, which is honestly centered around scouring the internet daily looking for a piece of dirt that'll get you millions of views regardless of who it affects or who it hurts. So with that being said, I find it really ironic that you're trying to call out Turner for at all affecting High Skies when you've literally made a career off of ruining other people's careers. I'm not even going to go into all the times that you've wrongfully accused someone of something they didn't do, like the time you called a guy a pedophile, sent thousands of people over to his channel that were attacking him when he proved himself to not do anything wrong. But again, you're a terrible news source and you do a horrible job at your job. It's very unfortunate that you're the #1 news source on YouTube. I've been on DramaAlert close to a dozen times, I've helped with DramaAlert several times, and overall was friends with Keemstar for a while. But I refuse to support someone who is so biased and will so easily sell his integrity. My integrity is not for sale, and it never will be. It's disgusting, and it's sad that the biggest news source on YouTube is run by a liar. He's the #1 news source on YouTube, and that's a serious problem because he has too much power to be so biased, so unfair, and let's be honest, so childish. Shout out to all the people who see straight through Keemstar. Recently, a lot of his Twitter followers have been turning on him. I mean, this is something that's been going on for years since the Content Cop days when iDubbbz made a video. And honestly, Keem, I challenge you to release how many people that you've blocked over the years. Like, it seems like anyone who stands up and disagrees with any of your points, you just go on a spree of blocking everyone you can. There's thousands of people out there who have been blocked by you for literally just stating facts and for telling the truth. His subscriber count even went red one day, and honestly, with the path he's been taking, I see that happening more and more. You can't be this fake, this biased, and this unfair and not expect people to catch on. And that's all we're going to say about Keemstar directly. Now we're just going to go into all the stuff Keem hasn't talked about, but clearly should have talked about. If it ain't about the money. So let's address this contract and get it over with. Recently, Turner's lawyer did an interview with the Score Esports. Honestly, if there's one thing you should do to get a better idea of the current situation, it's to go watch the Score Esports video. We're going to summarize that video right now, but if you want all the facts, you need to watch that video. Quick shout out to the Score Esports, who has absolutely no reason to lie or be biased, for doing a great job and for essentially doing Keemstar's job for him correctly. #1 is FaZe Clan is violating California state law by acting as a talent agency when they do not have the license to do so. Listen guys, this is a billion-dollar industry. The biggest esports organization in the world has to follow the rules and has to follow the law. They did not and have not, and this is the root of the problem from the beginning. The reason that Turner was presented with this contract in the first place was because FaZe did not follow the law. And listen, I don't want to hate on the FaZe guys because a lot of the FaZe guys truly are awesome people. And to be honest, I'm not even sure if some of them are aware that this has been going on. Had FaZe followed California state law in the first place, Turner would have never been presented with such an unfair contract. And not only would have been presented with a legal contract, but would have been presented with a contract that wasn't so ridiculous. We were not aware of this at the beginning. Turner was not aware of this in the beginning. We gave FaZe the benefit of the doubt and assumed that they were operating legally. I mean, they're the biggest esports organization in the world. He was not wrong to assume that the contract probably wasn't that bad. And if their contracts were that bad, we probably would have heard about it by now. But who's going to stand up to the biggest esports organization in the world? Nobody. That's terrifying. Look at how Banks and Keem have twisted this to make Turner out to be the bad guy. As if they were surprised and blindsided by this. You guys made your bed when you allowed my brother to sign this terrible contract in the first place. Banks, if you want to play the innocent card, that's fine, but if you're a part owner in this company and you don't know what contracts say that are signing people onto your organization, that is your fault, not Turner's. One reason in my mind why we haven't heard about how terrible these contracts are in the first place is because they involve a section that says if FaZe decides to fire one of their players or when the contract terms are over, they can prevent you from playing video games publicly for 6 months. No YouTube videos, no Twitch streams, nothing for 6 months. What do you have to say about that, unbiased Keemstar?
Wait, didn't Banks say he was Turner's homie and family? I don't know about you, but I would never let my friend or family sign or be in that contract. It is complete dog shit. Does the contract really say that they can take 80% and keep him from gaming for 6 months? What the fuck? I would never let my friend, let alone quote-unquote family, be in a contract that is this bad. No friend would let a friend do that. And if I were being totally honest, if you really want what's best for someone, why would you trap them in a contract and not let them be free to make their own decisions? Bias Keemstar didn't report on any of this? Well, I guess that's why he's Bias Keemstar.
If you really want what's best for someone, you're not going to trap them in a contract and keep them from doing what they want to do. Isn't that why people love this space and love YouTube and love Twitch and love social media? Because you're free to create whatever content you want, to work with whoever you want, without anyone telling you what to do. If it was me and I had a company telling me who I can and can't work with, I feel like it would take the fun out of it and it would take away from the reason why we started doing this in the first place. To have the freedom to choose, and I believe that Turner deserves that because he has worked so hard to get to where he is. And they didn't give that to him. Had they presented him with a legally abiding contract in the first place, Turner probably wouldn't have had a problem with it, and he definitely wouldn't have been able to leave FaZe because the contract would have been legally abiding. Thankfully for Turner, but unfortunately for FaZe, this is not the case, because the contract has been null and void since day one.
What more can I say?
Now for the negotiation between Tfue and FaZe Clan. FaZe did in fact offer Turner several contracts after he voiced his concern of the original one. However, Turner did not and would not re-sign a contract that's once again illegal in the state of California. Instead, Turner's lawyer offered FaZe a new contract in March of 2019 through a licensed talent agency that would be the only legally abiding contract in the history of their relationship. Just to be clear, the only legally abiding contract in the history of their relationship was presented to FaZe by Turner's team. They not only rejected it, but they revised it and they changed it so much to where it was completely unrecognizable and once again illegal. Bottom line here is they didn't give him a choice. The renegotiations went nowhere. They didn't allow him to do what he wanted to do, and even though they offered him a revised contract with none of the splits and none of the crazy percentages, it was null and void contract from day one. As someone who's watched Turner closer than anyone go from nothing to superstardom, he should be allowed to make his own decisions. He deserves that because he works harder than anyone else out there to get to where he is. And that's why he's the best, because he's more dedicated than anyone else.
No matter how much I got, always want a little more.
Now I would like to bring up the fact that FaZe claims to have only made $60,000 off of Turner. Anyone with a brain knows that this is the biggest lie of them all. Their social media, Instagram, YouTube, completely skyrocketed after Turner's popularity after joining FaZe. All the videos and original content of Turner's that they use, all the FaZe members using Turner's name. Turner made FaZe so much money, it's disgusting that they would ever try to say that they only ever made $60,000 off him. From the champion line to YouTube to brands and sponsors, they used Turner's name to sell it all and made more money than you could ever imagine because Turner was a part of their team. There is no arguing that. Turner helped FaZe Clan substantially to be where they are right now and to get the deals that they've gotten right now. If you know social media at all, this is painfully obvious. But of course, Keemstar's not going to report on any of this. And that's it. Like, what else is there to say? If you honestly think Turner is in the wrong, you can go ahead and call him stupid for signing that contract, but he never should have been presented with it in the first place. If Banks and if FaZe really had his best interest and really were his friends or his family, they never would have allowed it to go this far. They would have released him when he asked, but of course they don't have Turner's best interests at heart, they have their own, or they would have released him and they would have allowed him to make his own decision. It's disgusting what they're doing. It's especially disgusting what Keemstar's doing. He's being so biased, he's going so far out of his way to attack Turner when he really did not do anything wrong. He did what he had to do to be free. He did what he had to do to make his own decisions and to make his own dreams come true. And if you don't support Turner through this, then you're not a fan of his. You're not a fan of mine. You're not a friend of mine. And that's just the bottom line. They didn't play fair. They didn't play by the rules. They didn't give him a choice. And this is the situation that comes out of that.
With all of that being said, we'd like to conclude this video with a challenge to Keemstar. You might think that the challenge is to be more journalistic, honest, and fair. But no. I want to fight you. Biased Keemstar versus unbiased Keemstar. Winner takes DramaAlert. The ball's in your court.
You can find the beat shark lurking in the vinyl store. Old school original, B-boy dinosaur. Rockin' since Star Wars, spitting up a firestorm. Neck bone connected to the XLR spinal cord.